Hey there everybody, Matt here from Matt's Trains and Tractors. I know it's been a little while since my last upload here on the channel, and I am very sorry for that. I have been pretty busy, but I'm back now with a layout update. And this one's kind of following the previous layout update I did. If you guys remember, my previous layout update covered my yards that I've added and covering block power, which is a feature that is basically independent power supply that can turn on certain parts of the layout. If you want one part to not have power, you can isolate that and just cut the power. So I'm going to show you guys what I've done. And speaking of yards, as I was just talking about in the last layout update, we've got a new steam yard over here with a yard lead. Right now I've got all the steamers parked down here. I'll give you guys a whole tour of what's happened recently, but we've got the steam yard over here, and there are big plans down there for where the steam yard's at. And then over here, I'm going to pan the camera in a little bit and show you guys what we've got going on. But I've got another siding on the outer loop, and I've got a whole nother addition which is going to have a switching yard and probably a chemical plant for some switching and tanker car switching operations. So let's get into today's video. Alrighty, so you'll have to excuse me. My father and I have been doing a lot of work on the layout recently, both power and track wise, so it may not be the neatest and as neat as you remember it to be. But let's start here on the outer loop. We've got the outer loop right over here, and prior to the addition we made, it would just continue around this curve and there was no switch track. Instead we added an 072 left-hand fast track switch track, and we had it come out here onto this addition right over here. And this addition supports where the Valley Flyer is right now. I also figured I needed a new track to film reviews of model trains so I could get the whole entire train and not have any obstructions like the support trestles for the upper line. So this is where I'll be filming my future reviews for engines. As we continue down where the Y6B is, this is still the same addition. And then where the Niagara is, there's a little bit of a bump out, and I want to move this switch track back to gather some more of this lost space over here, so we can start the yard turnout a little sooner. And I'm hoping to get about 3 or 4 sidings over here. At least 3 that would probably go no farther back than about this cut right over here. Over here where the Pensy is, this is the same yard lead track as where the Niagara is and all the previous locomotives are. This is going to continue straight back past the daylight and go to a turntable which will be in the middle of the previous yard over here, and the sidings will be on either side. There will be a siding over here on the left and sidings over here on the right. So we'll be able to fit all the big steamers, large and small, and we've got quite a few steamers that will be arriving soon to the collection. We've got the Berkshire and the Greenbrier, so I figured I'm going to need a little more space, and now I'll be able to have some sidings for rolling stock and other trains as well. Now, like I said, you will have to excuse me for the mess. We literally were just working on this before I started filming this video. But over there, where that last reefer car is on the outer line, that switch track did not used to exist. Instead, we added that right-hand 072 switch. Got to get a few more right hands because this was actually our last one. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to have to take part of this cornfield out. This straight track here is going to continue down onto the platform. Yes, there's a new yard platform here. And if you may have seen, there's actually a little bump out. There's an island over here in the middle of the basement, and it has shelves in it. And the board, we just decided that it could go all the way back. And it's not like it's going to rain down here. You know, we don't really need the overhead protection, but we figured we might as well occupy that space. This area over here is going to be converted into a switching yard with a bunch of different sidings, probably 3 or 4 sidings. I'm getting a Burlington Northern SW1 switcher from the new Lionel 2022 Volume 1 catalog, I believe it's in. And that switcher is going to basically switch out this yard. So this is the tank filling station. It does have lights on it, which is pretty cool, and I believe these plastic pieces over there with the hoses on them swing out, so you can put this in between 2 tracks and have tanker cars on either side. And I just figured this was a super cool accessory. I want to get some tanks that'll go next to it, you know, like some tall oil or gasoline tanks, the stuff that they put in the tanker cars. I feel like this would be such a cool scenery plot. So like I said, I hope to get super into detail with everything that'll be going on here. Let's move on to the power. Okay, so if you guys remember the last layout update video, you will have remembered that I talked about the block power independent power supply on this lower yard area over here that the SD45s are currently on. This yard is primarily used for rolling stock, however I decided to park the SD45s here so you could look at the number board Block power allows you to independently control the power supply. So if I bring the legacy remote up, if I type accessory 50, then hit aux 2. Sorry, I didn't push the button down hard enough the first time, but as you see, the number boards illuminate and there is now power on this track. So there is an isolator right here where these wires are. The track has a power isolation. So this part of the track is on the main power feed, and then once we get over this little gray trussel here to this red and black wire, that's where the accessory block power independent power supply comes in. So let's say you park the trains here and you're done using this part of the layout, just hit aux 2 and that'll turn off. Now obviously there is a lot more wiring that goes into that. If you guys would like me to get more in depth about how all the wiring and programming goes down, I can make a whole nother video for that. However, this is a layout update to show you guys what has been happening. So if you would like that, comment below and I'm more than happy to make that video. Okay, so we're here back at the front of the layout at the new Steam yard lead track, and this also is on block power. As you can see right here, we have a fast track isolator track. So now if I type in accessory 49 and hit aux 2, as you hear and see the number boards on the Valley Flyer, power is delivered. So to save power, all you got to do is type in your accessory number that you have coordinated to the block power supply and hit aux 2, and it shuts down the power. So that's a nice way to save power. And speaking of power, let's run some trains since there already is power on the track.
Engine 3008, this is Amarillo Tower. Starter up, stand by to pull. Over. Copy that, Amarillo. We'll start her up. 3008 out.
Everybody, well that's just about going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Check out more videos right here and subscribe right here. Stay safe, stay tuned.